Okay, I think we're going to get started. So just to do some introductions here, I'm Sally Jones Diamond. I'm a research associate in the crops testing program at Colorado State University. And Dr. Jerry Johnson today is going to talk about the trial results from last year, go over some picks for this year. And then we've got Dr. Eston Mason, our new CSU wheat breeder. I don't know if you're still considered new, you've been here for a year now, to talk about some new varieties from his program. And then we have Laura Podorf, she's the new director of the Colorado Seed Programs. So that's our slate of speakers today, and we'll go ahead and start with Jerry. And he's going to be, you should be able to see a page out of our wheat report, which is our Making Better Decisions. This is what the cover looks like. And so this report will be posted on our website later today. We're just putting the final touches on it. So take it away, Jerry.
Okay. Well, I want to welcome you to the Wheat Planting Decision Meeting webinar. We've been kind of ups and downs the last couple of years with the COVID situation, so really glad to be able to present the results to you this year. I'm in charge of the crop variety testing program at CSU, and I'm planning to retire this fall, so this will be the last time that I'll have a chance to make presentations to you, and I want to just say how much I've appreciated everybody and their efforts working together the past 26 years to make this crops testing program work. So thank you. Today's objective is to provide you with the results of our winter wheat variety trials and to help you make better variety planting decisions. As we go along here, we will help a little bit with the interpretation of the data. In 2020-21, the dryland trials were conducted at 11 different locations spread out from Baca County to Weld County over to Sedgwick County. We had 44 different varieties or experimentals in the trial, coming from 6 private seed companies and 4 university marketing organizations or other states. We get all the varieties that we possibly can from seed companies and other states so that you can see how your material from Colorado stacks up against material brought in from other states, and hopefully find the best fit for you. You have to note that we bring in unbiased results so that the results that we show here are not in any way influenced by the fact that we're part of a CSU wheat improvement team or trying to push Plains Gold or CSU varieties over others. In the irrigated variety trials, we have 3 different locations at Holyoke, Burlington, and Fort Collins, and there were 28 varieties in that trial. Going on now, I want to say a few words about the general conditions for the trial for this last year. Of course, all of the results have to be taken into consideration given the conditions, the growing conditions that we had in 2020-21. 2020 was drier than normal at all locations. We did get some moisture in the Northeast, at least here in mid-September, that allowed some wheat to be planted into moisture. Fall 2000 precipitation at our trial locations varied from about 20% of normal at Sheridan Lake to 87% at Genoa. So you can see we had drought or dry conditions at all of our locations in fall 2020. Plant stands suffered in some areas, and we had above average amount of chiseling and field abandonment, especially in southeast Colorado. There was little precipitation received during the winter months throughout eastern Colorado, but most locations received a moisture in a March 12th to 14th event that helped alleviate drought conditions for most of the state. Above average precipitation in May helped us pull out of drought conditions, but that was followed by a few really hot string of days in June during grain fill that hurt yield and test weight. Growing degree days, or our heat units, were normal in the fall last year and below average during spring and summer, resulting in summer conditions that were cooler than normal. Some parts of the state were sprayed for Russian wheat aphid, but it didn't ever get to epidemic proportions. Striped rust was favored by those cool and wet springtime conditions, but got stopped by a June hot spell that we had and lack of spore showers from Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Loss of wheat due to hail was minimal this last year, but the sawfly was worse than ever. And so we saw reduced yields due to sawfly in Weld, Morgan, Washington, Phillips, and Yuma counties. Please, on page 7 there, Sally.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
When you say sawfly was worse than any other year, is that your personal assessment or based on feedback from growers? Or I asked Darren Cockrell if they had the survey done, but I guess that doesn't get done until later in the fall. So I'm just curious how how you came to that conclusion.
Well, like you said, it's my own observations of reports of wheat stem sawfly damage in a larger and larger area. So, for example, it was down in Roggen this year for the first time that I remember it being a severe issue. And it went further south from Akron this year than ever before. And I think more was reported up in the Sedgwick County area as well. So it's expanding in area. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question. Please don't hesitate, anybody else here, as we're going along, if you have other questions of what I'm going over. So on the next page, on page 7 there, you'll see the 2021 dryland wheat trial management and characteristics. I'm not going to go over this, but I do want to point out that we have our locations, trial location across the top, and then we give specific information, including our GPS coordinates, soil sample results, inputs and crop history, dates of planting and harvest and developmental stages where we had them, and environmental stress with rainfall, and then also rainfall and growing degree days for 2021. So you can look at the results from any one of our locations. You might want to refer back to these conditions when you're when we're puzzled about why one location and another did better or worse. On page 9 are the 2021 dryland variety trial results. They're very interesting and different from the previous years that we've had. The results include 32 varieties, and then at the bottom you'll see there the 12 experimental varieties. In the table headings at the top, you'll see that varieties are ranked from highest to lowest yield on multi-locational average yield, with KS Silverado and Langan yielding 60 bushels per acre, or about 109% of trial average, followed closely by Snowmass 2.0, an average of 59 bushel per acre. It's also of interest to note that 3 of the top 5 varieties in 2021 are from Kansas. And then at the bottom of the list, you'll see Warhorse yielded about 80% of trial average across all locations, including wheat stem softfly infested locations. And then going on there, Sally, to page 10, we have a graphic representation of variety performance at each of our harvested trial locations. You might look, for example, at KS Silverado at the top there in green, and you can follow that green color across all the locations. And you'll see that it performed pretty well at most locations, except at Julesburg and Lamar. And the same, you can look at other varieties across there, choose the variety and the color, and it's easy for you to see how it ranked at locations in different, or how it ranked in different locations. Going on then to the 2-year performance results on page 11, you'll see there that 14 varieties yield at 100% or better, including Snowmass, Langan, and KS Silverado at the top. So the Kansas varieties have been in our trials for 2 years, but not in 3 years. And you can see that Silverado did well in 2-year performance as well. And then going on to the 3-year average variety trial results given on page 12 there, we want to encourage farmers to use these results for planting decisions. And as you can see there at the bottom, Sally has noted that there are 29 different trials over 3 different years, and that have been averaged to come up with robust yield performance numbers by comparison to looking at 1-year or 2-year average performance. The Kansas varieties have not been in these trials for 3 years. And you'll see Langan and Snowmass 2.0 are right up there at the top of the table as well. Yield regressions are shown on page 13 to 15. They show that Snowmass 2.0 is expected to be higher yielding than Breck and Monarch over higher and lower yielding environments in the first graph. And then in a second graph, Bird CL Plus is expected to out-achieve Brawl CL Plus at all yield levels, especially in higher yielding environments. Then on the third graph there, you'll see Canvas is higher yielding than Guardian in higher yielding environments. And finally, in the final graph, Fortify SF is expected to slightly out-yield Westbred 4418 in most cases. For the collaborative on-farm testing program, in 2021, there were 6 hard red winter wheat varieties that were included: Bird CL Plus, Canvas, Crescent AX, Fortify SF, Guardian, and Whistler. Bird CL Plus is the 2-gene Clearfield version of Bird, slightly taller and higher yielding than Bird. Canvas is a medium maturity variety with good stripe rust resistance and wheat curl mite resistance. Crescent AX is a coaxium variety to be used in the production system based on aggressor herbicide. Crescent AX is an early maturing variety with wheat curl mite resistance from its bird parent. Fortify SF is the first Colorado bred semi-solid wheat to help control the wheat stem softfly. The yield performance of Fortify SF is greatly improved over many solid stem varieties bred in the northern plains. Guardian is a medium maturity variety with superior resistance to wheat viruses, including wheat streak mosaic virus, and good resistance to all 3 predominant rust diseases. Whistler is a later maturing variety with good stripe rust resistance and wheat curl mite resistance. Results could only be collected from 17 locations. Due primarily to drought conditions in southeast Colorado. Yields are shown at the bottom of page 16 with Crescent AX, Whistler, Canvas, and Fortify SF in the top yield group. It was heartening to see that Fortify SF has performed well out in farmers' fields, and there doesn't, and when there are softfly or non-softfly conditions, so averaged over all of those locations. So Fortify SF is looking very good in farmers' fields. You can see from that. Also, you'll see that Whistler is up there. Whistler, if you remember, is a later maturing variety, and it may fit well into your mix of varieties that you'll want in a coming year if you're wanting to increase diversity by having different maturity groups in your planting. The dryland variety decision tree is on page 18. We have done our best to try to help guide farmers through the maze of all possible varieties. You can imagine new varieties, many from Colorado, from Kansas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska, and the private seed companies. We put together this aid to try to help you come up with a variety decisions. So you'll see the varieties with special traits there, the different herbicide resistant traits, and the white wheats there off to the right, as well as the gamut of what we call our normal hard red winter wheat varieties. For these varieties to be in the trial, they must have been tested in the decision tree. They must have been tested for 3 years and yield at or above average yield. Please take a minute to look over this decision tree, as in some ways I think this is the heart of the report, and I'm not going to go over each one of the boxes that are there, but I think that you'll find it interesting and hopefully a good guide for ordering seed for your own farm for this coming year. Going on now to the irrigated variety trial results. They're provided on pages 19, 20, and 21. And they're followed by the irrigated variety decision tree on page 22. Like the dryland trial, we tried to help farmers organize their decisions with this variety decision tree. White wheat, herbicide tolerant, and high yield hard red winter wheat variety recommendations are provided in that table for irrigated conditions. Going on now then, pages 24 to 27 are detailed descriptions of the dryland and irrigated variety trials, varieties that were in the trials in this past year. So as you can see, it's a complete table. So if you have going through the decision tree, you say, well, do I want this variety or that one? There are 3 or 4 options. Then you can go to these detailed descriptions and see if they have the different traits that you're looking for. So Eston and Sally have put a lot of time into these descriptions. And so I think that you'll enjoy that. You can also get online, of course, and see the full report later, as Sally said. So you can do this online. You don't have to, well, you don't have to have a normal hard copy that we would have liked to have been out there to deliver to you. But under the conditions of this year, we're doing it in a webinar. Finally, it's impossible to name all the people who made wheat variety testing program possible this past year. But I would be remiss if I didn't take time to thank some of them. We definitely want to thank CWAC, CWAC, and CWRF for their financial support to make variety testing possible. The wheat testing team, Scott Haley, was here last fall and helped set up the new season, and Eston has carried on and done a terrific job here during the spring season and through wheat harvest and now through reporting. I want to thank our colleagues on the research stations at Walsh and Akron and RDEC. None of the work would have been possible without your collaboration. We have very special farmers who host the variety trials. They're such great folk, and you can see their names listed there in the acknowledgements, and they're really the heartbeat of a testing program. So we appreciate all the sacrifices they make. I want to thank all of our on-farm test collaborators as well, and the extension agents who support those that on-farm testing program. Of course, none of our on-farm testing program would be possible without the extension agent and of course the farmers who have those tests on their own farms and use their own equipment for planting and harvest. I want to thank our Colorado State University colleagues in soil and crop sciences and in ag biology, as well as our administrators, department head, and college dean. So we want to thank them for making it possible to do this. And lastly, I want to extend my deepest thanks to Sally Jones Diamond and Ed Asfeld, who are members of my team, and they have done all of the heavy lifting this past year for the crops testing program, including putting together this report. And it's made it possible to bring all of you the trial results, despite the difficult COVID conditions that we had to fight against this past year. Like I said, I am retiring this fall, so this is my last chance to talk with you about trial results. I hope that you'll show up next spring for the wheat variety testing program. And I want to let you know it's been an honor to work with you for the past 26 years. I hope that during that time I've performed admirably and justified your faith in me to bring you information and make better variety decisions. Thanks for your attention. Best luck this coming year. And Sally, I think we can go to Essen Mason for his reflections on the 2021 results and new releases for this fall.
Great, thanks, Jerry. I'm gonna try to share screen here. Thanks, Jerry, and thanks for all your years running the variety testing program. I did the same at Arkansas before I came here, so I know it's no small task to organize, get the entries, get them planted, get the data turned around. I think, you know, y'all do an incredible job of getting that data analyzed and getting it out quickly for people to look at. So I commend you for that. So I'm just going to give a little update on the season a little bit, past releases, a quick maybe just note about some of them, and then discuss a couple of new releases from this summer. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So, you know, kind of where we're at right now, we made it through the season. We had a good summer crew to help with mostly with the hand harvesting. So we hire about 15 hourlies to help hand harvest. Even with these really nice machines that we have, there's still a lot of hand harvesting that has to be done. So we had a great crew. We got out before the end of July. We did have these two really nice new Zern combines. One was purchased last year, one was purchased this year. So that, you know, big change. They have an air-conditioned cab, unlike our previous combines. So really just helped to keep the morale up, you know, from cutting the near 20,000 plots that we cut every year. So we cut a lot of plots. We do a lot of sampling for quality. And then, so this is kind of a look at what our our seed processing facility at RDEC looked like a couple of weeks ago. It's cleared out significantly since then, and we're putting trials together. So we're making decisions. We've got our elite test package and ready to go. We're doing the advanced test, and so we're moving along. We've done some characterization of quality to decide which locations to use for quality, and a lot of that's based on protein. That protein influences which locations we'll use a lot. So we try to keep, a range of proteins, but if something is 8 or 9%, we won't use that for quality. So that's kind of where we're at with the season. Shrink this out of my way. There we go. Primary breeding targets in the program, of course, grain yield, test weight, and a lot of that is drought tolerance, heat tolerance. That we saw really extreme heat stress this year, right? Beginning of June, right when we were doing the field days, and it impacted yield. I mean, I think there were fields that could have been 80 bushels per acre that ended up being 50 bushel per acre with low test weights and very small seed. We saw a lot of small seed this year. So something to work on. Milling and baking quality is a big one for us. We work on stripe rust, wheat stem sawfly, of course, wheat curl mite, wheat streak mosaic virus, vectored by the wheat curl mite. So we work a lot on that. And then herbicide tolerance, whether it's the coaxium or the clearfield traits. So just looking back at recent releases, and Jerry talked about some of these in the reports, I just thought I'd highlight, this year was a learning year for me. Going out on the field days helped a lot to learn the varieties and the data, because we use all of these varieties as checks in our breeding program. And so just getting to look at how they're performing and it's helped me to really learn a lot about these varieties. So just thinking about hard red winter wheats coming out of CSU, Langan, #1 variety, it tillers really well. It's early, medium early to early, but a really good line. Canvas, not as high yielding, but has really good straw strength for a high moisture irrigated environment. Whistler, Slater, it's tall. I see this as like a true dry land variety. So it's going to do really well when you have really low moisture. Whistler kind of, there was a location or two where it kind of worked its way to the top. And then Guardian. So this is 2 genes for wheat streak mosaic virus resistance. And so if you know you have an issue with wheat streak, Guardian is a good option. Didn't have a great year this year, but still a great option with 2 genes for resistance. So resistance to the curl mite and then resistance to the actual virus. KS Dallas, which was also in the test, also it has 2 genes for resistance to the virus, and it had a good year. Hard whites, going into that Ardent Mills program, we've got Snowmass and we've got Breck. Snowmass has just had a couple of really good yield performance years. It has unique quality, as close to the original Snowmass as we have at this point. And also very good wheat streak mosaic virus resistance. Breck, really, really good test weight, good yield potential. And its quality complements Snowmass a lot. So if you're interested in a white wheat, these are the 2 options going into that Ardent Mills program. And then herbicide tolerance. So these are going to be hard reds at this point. We don't have any whites. We don't have any solid stem herbicide tolerance yet. We're working on getting those out there. But Bird CL, Jerry showed, its performance across locations, and it's not completely replacing Brawl. I talked to a lot of growers that still prefer Brawl CL as an option, and so I see it as a complement. And then we have Crescent, really has been performing pretty well. And then Kavari, which was just released recently in 2020. So I'm not exactly sure the availability of Kavari. Maybe Brad or Tyler could chime in. There's a question in the chat. Looks like Brad went ahead and answered it. Question from Bill Garrettson: are they breeding for higher test weight, or is it just a symptom of the drought the last several years? Test weight is definitely a priority for our program. So we will eliminate anything that is low test weight. You know, definitely anything in the early stages that's below average. And then, you know, unless it has just a bunch of other beneficial traits, try to not release anything with low test weight. I think low test weights this year were really just related to that heat stress, like Brad mentioned. If you have any questions, feel free to chime in. I'm not going to take a ton of your time. You know, one thing I think the program can take pride in is just the ability to develop varieties faster. And so we have a lot of tools to do this, you know, whether it's the greenhouse, or genomics, or just all of our testing sites. And so if you look at the earlier varieties, you know, we've really reduced the time to develop a variety by 2 to 3 years, potentially, you know, even faster moving forward. And what that allows us to do is respond to needs. So when there was a need for solid stemmed varieties, we were able to respond and develop something like Fortify in 6 years. Jerry mentioned Warhorse being about 10 bushels below, you know, the average yield. And so getting something like Fortify out quickly is important. So wheat stem softfly, this is the still just the biggest focus of the program right now. And, you know, it's unfortunate in some ways because it takes away from other areas like stripe rust, like wheat streak, like quality a little bit. We have to focus on really getting this trait, this solid stem trait, into our germplasm. The 2021 survey is not out yet, but, you know, it'll look something similar, likely moving down a little further south. It was a learning year for me in terms of wheat stem softfly. You know, I went out 1 week and I'm thinking, yeah, this isn't a problem. All this wheat standing fine. Yeah, it's cut a little bit, but let's just get it out of the field and it'll be fine. And then come back the next week and it's flat on the ground. And so, you know, I got to see, you know, what the struggle has been, you know, the last 5+ years with this pest. Yeah, Brad chimed in about Kavari in the chat. If you're interested in another option other than Crescent for a coaxium variety, you can just go into the chat and check that out. So we've worked a lot on softfly. We're kind of using Akron now as our main breeding site. And I just wanted to just talk about one thing we did there this year. We had yield plots, but we also had this huge area of the field, which was just these small single row type plots. And we had about 20,000 of these. And what we were able to do is let that softfly cut the wheat, let that wheat fall down. You can see it in on this picture here on the right. And then, I mean, you can't even see the rows anymore because the wheat is just falling down. But we're able to go through, find rows that are standing, and then what I would do is basically physically pull on every row that I was thinking about selecting. And if it pulled out like it was cut, I would leave it. If it pulled strong and didn't, you know, I didn't pull a bundle of wheat out, we would select it and harvested it. So we harvested about 1,000 of the 20,000 rows. We ended up harvesting about 1,000. So we left a lot in the field. So I'm hoping this will be some really good selection for future, you know, semi-solid stemmed varieties. It's faster than going through and trying to cut all of these and actually look at the stems. So we get good cutting, we're able to get good selection. So I'm excited about that. So Fortify was released in 2019. There's plenty of it out there available this year. If you are, if you have issues with sawfly and you need something that can help with that, I'll show some data for it compared to some of our new lines. You know, it's not a silver bullet, but it definitely stands up better. I think the feedback this year was pretty positive. You know, seeing it on larger acreage, and it holds up fairly well. Somebody's got their mic on. Bill Garrettson asked another question. Is there any correlation between tillage, no tillage, summer fallow versus continuous crop and the prevalence of sawfly? That's a great question. You know, the evidence literature out there says, you know, yes, no till, you know, that sawfly lays its egg, that larva works its way down, and then it makes a little home and cuts that wheat and overwinters there, in, you know, and then comes back the next year. And so some tillage could likely, you know, help to reduce sawfly to some extent, as much as tillage could help with any pest that likes to live in the residue. But we're a no-till, you know, we're a no-till system here in Colorado. So and it's important in terms of water retention and everything else. And so I don't think changing our tillage is the way to go. You know, we have genetic resistance. It works. It works. And, you know, we just need to keep working with it and keep improving, would be my response there. But there is some relationship. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of skip the characteristics here of Fortify and just you know, talk about those with some of the data compared to these other lines. Let's see. Well, I guess one thing I'll say about Fortify. So it was kind of the first generation of solid stem that came out of the program. So the source was this bear paw line from Montana, and then it's going to have a bird background. So it's three-quarter bird. Very good test weight, very good milling, and pretty good baking quality too. Has a really nice loaf volume. And then it does have wheat curl mite resistance as well, which is a really, really nice trait to have. So some of the new lines we're putting out this year. So we released two semi-solid stem lines this summer. One going to be marketed by Plains Gold. One, we're still kind of figuring out what to do with that line, or Colorado wheat is. So these are both going to be hard red winter wheats. Colorado 16 SF027 is going to be marketed as Amplify SF under the Plains Gold brand. It had bear paw as the source of the semi-solid, and then it's Antero in the pedigree. So it's 3/4 Antero, which was a really high yielding white wheat. Solidness rating, it's a 16.5. This is compared to about a 12.5 for Fortify. So it's a good 4 points higher, which in this 5 to 25 scale that we use, that's a significant increase in solidness. So I think it's going to make a big difference. 50,000 pounds of foundation seed available. So it'll be increased this year and then available, you know, to wider acreage the following year. And maybe when I'm Brad, you can chime in the chat like you've been doing, if you disagree with me on anything. 16 SF070 is another one. We're still trying to figure out where to place this one. Solidness rating of 14.5, so kind of in between Fortify and Amplify. About 18,000 pounds of foundation seed. And then kind of the next line on the docket is a white wheat with a semi-solid stem. And so this is 18SF-D009W. So this was a doubled haploid. The cross was made in 2018. So it's only 3 years into development right now. Warhorse was the donor here, and then it has Breck and another breeding line in the pedigree. 15.3 for solidness. It was actually the highest yielding semi-solid line in our elite test this year, so it did really well. We did do a small increase of it, and we're kind of figuring out how to move forward with this line. It has not been released yet, approved for release, but that would be potentially next summer. We could have this white wheat out on some acres. Just a couple slides of data. You know, these solid stem lines, you know, they're a defensive variety. So cutting, you know, that's what we're trying to reduce, is this cutting. So you can look at 027, now amplify, 2.7 for cutting, actually pretty similar to Fortify. Like I said, Fortify is holding up really nicely. And then you can see the 070 and the 009W, maybe not quite as good as Fortify or 027. I think that Fortify has some non-preference as well as that solid stem trait. So it's got something else going on there. And then the solidness ranging from that 12.3 for Fortify to that 16.5 for Amplify. You know what? One thing we saw this year is that stem solidness was actually a little lower expression compared to the last couple of years, potentially due to kind of a wet, you know, we had a little bit of a wet May, a little cloudy. We had, you know, a couple weeks of just cloudy weather, and that cloudiness, when you don't have that intense UV radiation, it can actually reduce that solid stem expression. And so the numbers that we got back were actually a little lower. So Fortify was a 12.5 and it actually dropped down a little bit. But all in all, you know, these are in blue because their cutting is lower, solidness is higher. So these are better for softfly. Thinking about yield, we're breaking this down into 2 different ways. So we've got yield of our solid stem lines here. And then we've got our just standard checks that we include in all of our nurseries. And then this left panel, we have 2020 data, and on this right panel, we have 2021 data. And we've broken this down into average yield without softfly in this first column, and then average yield with softfly in the second column. And so what is without softfly, you know, these solid stems, there's a yield penalty there. And so these are in red. They're lower yielding compared to most of our hollow stem varieties. But when you go into environments where you have softfly pressure, it really flips. And so these solid stem lines are performing as well, or in a lot of cases better than, you know, our hollow stems. And you can imagine they're standing better. And so those two, you know, combination of those 2 things, you know, makes them a valuable variety. Yeah, so it just kind of flips between that without softfly and with softfly. And then we can see the same thing in this year in 2021. So without softfly, they're all in red. With softfly, again, it just flips. So that 027, 55.6 bushels per acre, second only to Breck in softfly situations. I got a question, why does Breck do so well under softfly pressure? I don't know, but it's interesting. Last couple of years has seemed to hold up okay, even with a lot of cutting. And then last slide for me is just looking at some of the milling and baking traits associated with these lines. So I mentioned Fortify, you know, low volume, almost 950, 027 and 070, these new releases are a little bit low volume. Still not bad, still above, the Wheat Quality Council's recommended low volume. So we're still doing okay, but not quite up to the standard of, what we've seen coming out of the CSU program. Scott Haley really took the bar for wheat quality here and just raised it really high. And so, like I said, bringing in the solid stem trait, we've had to change some things in the breeding program. And so we're going to get back to that 950 plus, even with that solid stem. It's just going to take a little while to get there. Good milling, good grain protein, low volumes, just a little bit low, but still everything overall is pretty acceptable in terms of quality of these lines. So we don't have anything to worry about there. Brad's chimed in a little bit in the chat about seed availability and certified seed only. So take a look at that. Right now with these solid stems, we're trying to do them as certified seed only, because they're a traded wheat, and we have to maintain the purity of that solid stem trait to be able to keep it working moving forward. So that's it from me. Just to acknowledge, the wheat staff, and Scott Haley, of course, been a great resource for me. He's actually working right now as an hourly in the program, which is kind of fun. He's just out there threshing wheat. I guess he got tired of retirement. But my grad students, staff, they're just incredible, and then other people helping with this research and variety development. So hopefully I didn't take up too much time. If there's any additional questions, I'd love to answer them. And I'll stop my share.
Great, thank you, Eston.
You're welcome.
And with that, Laura, you're up next.
Hey, thank you, everybody. All right. I think I'm sharing my screen.
I like your title.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I'm
your title is better than mine. So.
Oh, it is.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, so thank you for the invitation, Sally and Jerry. I'm Laura Podworth. I've been on the job as Director of Seed Programs for about since May, so 3 to 4 months. And I'm really glad to be here. So I'm going to kind of wrap up and summarize a lot of what has been mentioned by Jerry and Eston, and talk about, seed in terms of not all seed is created equal. Why is it important to plant the best? And certified seed is considered the best. When you compare it to common seed, the difference is, for example, with common seed, it of course has to be labeled, but laws, state and federal seed laws, only require that the labeler be truthful and tell you, for example, that it might only germinate at 75 or 80%, versus a certified seed has to meet a lot of extra standards in terms of maintaining the pedigree of specific varieties, verifying traceability and inspections. See, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So, all right. So some top 5 reasons. Why is certified seed important? Why is it important to plant the best? The varieties discussed this morning are available as certified seed, and it is clean seed. It has maximum genetic purity, meaning that you get what the breeders and the marketers say you're going to get. It's inspected under stringent national standards, for example, off types. So when you're planting seed, it is normal for seed to be variable, and the off types are going to be rogued so that those plants are not available to pollinate. And so the seed that you are purchasing is going to be stable. It's going to be uniform, more so than common seed. This is where you're going to find the new genetics. So the sawfly tolerance and resistance that was mentioned, the herbicide tolerance, higher yields. There's years and years of research and development that goes into the traits that you're going to purchase when purchasing certified seed. The seed is a little bit more expensive because the breeders and the owners of these varieties have invested a lot of time and money into developing those varieties, and they want to make sure that they have longevity and staying power in the market, as you would as well. So these varieties also have variety protection laws, plant variety protection laws, stewardship agreements come along with many of them. And this is to protect that trait so that it is available for a prolonged period of time. The wheat stem sawfly tolerant varieties that Eston discussed, this is where you're going to find more and more availability in the future to combat wheat stem sawfly as it is expanding its range in Colorado. So the advantages of the traits that you're going to get in certified seed are well worth the extra cost that may be associated with it. And then to sum up, again, to round out the top 5 reasons, it's quality assurance. CSGA, or Colorado Seed Growers Association, is this third-party entity that is going to conduct inspections and make sure that the seed meets quality assurance, both national standards as well as the standards that the breeder has established. That blue tag, that label, which is what's, it's how the consumer or the end user understands that this is certified seed. That is proof that you're getting what the breeders and the marketers say you're getting. And there's also traceability as well as increased risk management associated with the purchase of these varieties. So in a nutshell, the growers that are producing certified seed are going to apply to an entity like Colorado Seed Growers Association. The fields are inspected by third-party unbiased inspectors. The seed that is harvested from these fields is analyzed to meet specific requirements, germination requirements, purity requirements. So weeds are going to be, guaranteed to be less so when you compare it to common seed. And then that will be labeled with the blue tag, and those varieties will be available with certain seed growers. And I'll give you some information about that as well. Now, an additional risk management tool would be to make sure that that seed, that certified seed, is treated with a fungicide. As I said, just by itself, it's clean, it's pure, it's conditioned, it's ready for planting. But if you can treat, or it is often treated with a fungicide for extra risk mitigation for seed-borne diseases. Some rust fungi is seed-borne, like leaf rust is seed-borne, stripe rust not so much. But this is just going to give an extra assurance of quality in the long run. Now, there's been a lot of talk and some confusion regarding plant-back restrictions, single-use restrictions that may accompany the purchase of certified seed. So when we talk about plant-back restrictions and single-use restrictions, this all stems from the Plant Variety Protection Act. and the Title V that goes with plant variety protection. And then there is a new, stewardship type of agreement called certified seed only. These are all basically the same as patents. And so the breeders or the owners of these varieties will determine if there's going to be a plant variety protection, a Title V, and or a certified seed only designation with these varieties. And basically, this is the legal way for these breeders and owners to protect the traits so that they can ensure that sawfly tolerance and herbicide tolerance is going to stay stable and have longevity in the marketplace. Now, certified seed only is something that you'll continue to see more and more frequently in the future. The new varieties that are coming out are typically going to be designated as certified seed only. This means that they are single use. The grower signs agreements. The seed they purchased is used solely for planting of this single crop, and the grain that may be produced from this seed is not allowed to be saved or planted back. Now, if a variety just has a plant variety protection, on it alone, that means that the seed that is produced from that certified seed can be held back and planted by the grower only. It cannot be sold by that farmer, but it could be held by the farmer itself to be planted back. So these are the differences, and you should pay attention to these, especially if you're, as we hope you will be interested in trying some of the newer varieties. They have the certified seed only clauses. Now, some examples of varieties that are certified seed only I've listed here. And then also, if you want to know where to obtain the certified seed, we've got our new Colorado Certified Seed Directory available. This is posted online. I'll give you the web address in a second. And we also have hard copies available that will be distributed in various places. But you can see the list here as an example. There are several of these newer varieties, those that have the herbicide tolerance, like the Brawl CL+, Bird CL+, the Crescent AX with the coaxium system, and the Cavari AX. Those are all certified seed only, as well as Fortify SF as well as some examples. So with that, as a quick summary and wrap up, again, if you need to find out where the certified seed varieties mentioned today are available, check out the Colorado Seed Growers webpage, and you can find the certified seed directory. And with that, questions are welcome. And Sally, if you are ready to take over, that'd be great.
Yeah, so with that, does anybody have any questions? You can either unmute yourself or put one in the chat box. I just put a link to a wheat stem sawfly Q&A from our wheat field day report. So I just pulled those 4 pages out of the report, and that has some really good updated information. If there are no questions, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. We've recorded this webinar and we'll post it to the CSU Extension YouTube channel by early next week, I think. So that'll be available for folks to access. So with that, thank you.